We're all ready for tomorrow's race, but before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who'll be fronting the grid. Leclerc, Russell and Lewis Hamilton. With qualifying wrapped up now, we have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race. Welcome to the home of the Parabolica, now known as the Curva Alboreto in tribute to the Italian motorsport legend Michele Alboreto. It's a long right-hander. It dares you to keep your foot as far down on the throttle as you possibly can. It's one of the great corners on the calendar, and we're here at Monza, ahead of the Italian Grand Prix. With top speeds up to 215 and an average lap speed of around 155 miles per hour, Monza's reputation as one of the fastest circuits in the sport is well earned. We have 11 corners on this 3.6-mile track, with the best overtaking chance coming into the heavy braking zone of the Turn 1 chicane. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. George Russell will begin today's event in pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Verstappen, a Red Bull, Gasly, Ocon, Norris, Oscar Piastri, Fernando Alonso, Leclerc, Tsunoda, Hülkenberg, Stroll, Bottas, Albon, Zhou, Sargent, Magnussen, Sainz and Nick de Vries. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track. I'm joined again today by none other than Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, obviously there's a lot of development work that goes on with these cars between the Grand Prix. You've been both a test driver and a race driver. What differences are there in the way that you approach those roles?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. They're two very different mindsets. In the old days, of course, they used to cover up to 15,000 kilometres of testing in a season, and that role would be more about working for the team, trying to help them improve the car and drive as systematically as possible, so that the data could be analysed in the most consistent way. When lining up on the grid for a race, however, a race driver's frame of mind is all about what they can get out of the situation on that day, and the car is the tool to help them achieve those goals. hectic parts of the race meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take the top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes. So let's review the drivers' standings. Lewis Hamilton takes the lead of the Drivers' Championship. Let's focus on the driver of the day, Anthony Davidson. Who do you pick?
Max Verstappen seemed to just effortlessly weave through the other drivers today without a care in the world. He was definitely my driver of choice.
Let's move on to the constructors. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Meanwhile, a strong weekend from Red Bull this time out, and they improve their position in the championship. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One, so be sure to join us for the next one.